Have you all ever had something so painful happen to you, devastating, heartbreaking? Raise your hand. Right? We've all gone through hard times. We've all gone through situations that we don't like. We've all got our crosses to carry. We got trials. We got things we got to endure. And most people in the day and age, they kind of run from it. They hide from it. Even when they overcome it, they tend not to want to share it with other people. I've traveled the world as a motivational speaker, and people are like, man, Jeremy, how are you able to share your story? How are you able to open up? Well, I got to a point where I didn't care how embarrassing it might have looked. I didn't care about what people might think about me. Literally in my heart, I got to a point and I was just like, man, what I'm experiencing now, the pain that I've endured could be someone else's power. You heard a bit of my bio at the beginning, right? Years of drug and alcohol abuse. Mom had me when she was 16 years old. Absence of my biological father. Repeated failure in school. Selling weed by the pound. Like, I did not live a life of purpose. I was just out here floating and trying to get by. If there was a picture in the dictionary of someone who was living life as a failure, it'd be me smiling, thinking I was doing major things with my life, right? All the different schools I was going to, I had issue after issue. I literally went to 3 different schools for the 9th grade. That third school, something clicked inside my brain, and I decided to really begin to take a different type of approach when it came to life. School after school, city after city, state after state. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I went from Dallas. I went to Atlanta, to New Jersey, back to Alabama. We moved around a lot when I was young. I'll never forget being at one school, and a teacher told me in 8th grade that I wasn't high school material. I'm thinking like, man, I've heard of people saying, hey, Patrick isn't college bound, or maybe Samantha's not going to go to an Ivy League. But how do you tell an 8th grade kid that they're not even good enough for high school? Words are powerful. I read it one time in the book. It said that life and death is in the power of the tongue. We actually have the power to speak life that can make people feel optimistic and proud. We have the power to speak life that can make people feel good and really encouraged, pumped up, motivated about the day. But we also have the power to make people feel sad and down, depressed, discouraged. So when I heard that, it affected me. I should have went to school that next year, my first try for the 9th grade, and knocked it out the park, but I didn't. I got caught up starting fights and rumbles and doing pranks, and next thing I knew, the school got all bent out of shape because I cut the electricity off, and whole school went black, right? And they were chanting my name. Word got around quick, Jeremy, Jeremy. I was like, yeah, yeah. Then I thought about it, and I'm like, no. And next thing I know, I'm in the principal's office. They kicked me out. Next school I go to, completely failed. Go to my 3rd school and finally figured things out. Catch up with my right grade after all the crazy, wild, reckless things I've been doing. Finally catch up with my right grade, graduate from high school on time, get my bachelor's, get my master's degree, write books, become a published author, start traveling the world, like all that great stuff, right? Now, nobody wants to hear all the awesome things you're doing. What we really need to hear is when we take our pain and we turn our pain into power, is when we say, hey, I've had some hard times. I've had some challenges. I've been in that dark place. It gets better. What if I told you, the theme, right, is that this is the future. What if I told you that the old world we lived in was a world where we would shy away from our challenges, a world when we would run away from it, a world when we would be quiet, we wouldn't speak up, we wouldn't share what we're going through or what we went through, a world when we would be ashamed of our challenges and our issues and our pain. We would hide from the pain. But what if I told you that when we embrace the pain, that pain actually becomes our power? What if I told you that the most painful day you've ever had did not win because you're still here? What if I told you that you have a 100% track record of life because you have not yet been defeated? And I believe that when we emerge and we say, you know what, I'm not going to run from my challenges, and I'm not going to run from my pain, I'm not going to run from it, I'm going to embrace it, I'm going to hold on to it, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to verbalize it, I'm going to air it out, I'm going to let others know it's possible for them. I believe we can truly make the world a better place when we adopt that mindset. That's what I've been doing for the past 12 years, traveling across the country, across the globe, sharing a message of hope. And I've really been sharing a message of pain. I've really been sharing the hardships. I've really been sharing the trials. I've really been sharing the different circumstances that I've had to endure and how I was able to fight back. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the magical thing that happens. Is that the people that are in the audience sit back and something inside their brain clicks. And they think, hey, if Jeremy can get through it, I can get through it. What if I told you That turning our pain into power is as simple as being willing to share what we're going through because something is going to click inside the hearts and minds of those listening. And that thing that you share with them, that piece of vulnerability, that piece of transparency, that piece of honesty could be the very thing that they need to keep fighting. Let me tell you about a little red-haired girl that changed my life. I was volunteering one day. I went to this middle school to speak. It's about 10, 11 years ago. The guidance counselor, I knew her. She went to my church. She said, can you come to the school and speak? I said, sure. I go to her school. I rock the stage. I'm in the gym. I'm going hard. Kids are loving it. After they get done, they all run out. I'm high-fiving every kid, clearly before COVID, right? High-five all the kids. They run out, and there's one little girl left behind. She's got freckles all over her face, pretty red hair, and her skin, her pale skin is almost as red as her freckles. She's in tears. The principal is like, I can't get her to calm down. She really wants to talk to you. Let me give you guys some space. I say, thank you. I walk up. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, oh, my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm like, for what? She's like, you just saved my life. You just saved my life. I'm thinking like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, my story ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? She was like, I literally had plans of committing suicide. She said, I came to school today with the plan, tried to slip out the back door. They caught me and made me come to the stupid assembly, but I'm so glad I did, Mr. Jeremy, because now I want to live, Mr. Jeremy. She looks at her arm and she writes down, weapons will form, but they won't prosper because I'm more than a conqueror. She said, that's what you told us, Mr. Jeremy. She looks at her underarm and says, my conditions would not be my conclusion. That's what you told me, Mr. Jeremy. She says, I know now, Mr. Jeremy, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I want to live, Mr. Jeremy. I want to live. Gives me the biggest hug, and she runs off the class. Something at that time shifted in me. At that time of my life, I was working for this tech school, Tech. I was still had my full-time job, healthcare, benefits, 401k. That's when I realized the power of turning your pain into power. I realized how relevant it was. I went home, and I wrestled that whole day with it. That night, I couldn't barely sleep. The next morning, I woke up. I got my wife ready. You know, I said I made her breakfast because I knew that thing that was heavy on my heart. So I had to get my wife in the spirit because I'm about to tell her I'm quitting my job. You feel me? I'll never forget the breakfast I made her, right? She liked steel-cut oatmeal with the craisins and almonds, you know what I'm saying, in there, and 2 pieces of avocado toast, which I've never been a fan of it, but she loves that, right? And an egg white. So she's eating her breakfast. I'm like, how's your breakfast? She's like, it's good. I'm like, is it good? She's like, it's good. I said, so babe, then I start stuttering. Then my mouth gets dry. And so she's like, just spit it out. I was like, babe, this little girl told me she was going to quit. She was going to commit suicide, but, you know, she didn't because of my speech. And there's so many more people out here that can learn from my story. I'm going to turn my pain into power and become a full-time motivational speaker. She's like, what are you asking me? I was nervous, so I blamed it on God. I said, God told me to quit my job. And I heard her put the fork down. It was so loud that day, right? Clank, clank. She's like, well, what he say about me? I'm like, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to keep working. And my wife literally looked me in the face and said, if you think you're about to travel the world and be a motivational speaker and save all these people, and I forgot to tell y'all, I had a newborn at home. And she's like, and I got to stay here and raise Jewel and be the full-time worker, and you can be traveling and speaking? She was, I'm going to quit my job too. We're going to figure this thing out together. I'm going to manage you. I said, did you pray about that? You feel me? Because that was not in my plan. Like, my wife worked for the government, so healthcare benefits, like everything. It could have took care of that car note, the house, the mortgage, everything. But we both went all in because I realized that there was power in my pain. Say, man, I could keep it to myself, and I could just kind of speak from time to time, or I could literally go out here and save lives. We see it all the time. We hear about the people who are struggling. We hear about the people who are in dark places. I can't tell you how many kids over the past few years have sent me DMs showing me that they've been cutting themselves, and they say, Jeremy, I'm not cutting anymore. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had amazing experiences with young people. I can't tell you how many times I've been more open and honest and transparent with just adults. Let's just be clear. It's not just that this young generation is struggling. Humans as a whole is struggling. So whenever I'm talking to people, I'm always open to talking about marriage counseling. I'm always talking about different vulnerabilities and different counseling and different helps that I've needed over the years. And people are like, man, do you ever feel a certain way putting your stuff out there? I'm like, no, because I'm real and I'm a human. And people struggle. I need love. I need attention. You know what I'm saying? I want to be valued. Like, people want something real. And when you share your real story, when you share your real heart, when you share your challenges, and when you share your struggles, you're letting the world know, like, hey, you're not alone. You're not by yourself. I didn't come today just to give an amazing or cool or decent TED Talk. I came to spark something inside your heart and mind, to challenge you to say, you know what, I want to now turn my pain into power. Something happened to me when I was a young little girl. Something happened to me when I was a little boy. I'll never forget when this happened, and I've been ashamed by it all these years. But if I'm willing to open up and share that, I can start having different type of experiences. I can take my power back. I go from being a victim to now a victor. Can I tell you about another student? I was at a school in, I believe it was Memphis, Tennessee, about 4 or 5 years ago. Just got done speaking for this high school, predominantly African-American high school. After I got done leaving, me and the team were walking through the hallways about to leave, and I see this one guy. He's got these long locks in his hair, and he's just like, yo, man, that was some real stuff. And let's just say he didn't say stuff, right? So he's like, yo, that's some real beep. I'm like, oh, that's what's up, you know what I'm saying? So I dap him up. He's like, hey, man, I felt everything you were saying, like, right here. I was just like, okay. So he was like, y'all want to show you something? I'm like, what's up? So he walks over to the bathroom, and so I'm like still in the hallway. I'm like, what's up? He's like, yo, come here. Something like, it's weird. So, I walk over, go by the bathroom, and I'm by the bathroom door, and then he walks over by the stall. And so he's like, yo, come here, like, you know what I'm saying, before they see this. And he begins to lift up his shirt and open up his pants. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, no, you're good. And he pulls out a half a pound of weed. And then he looks at me with tears in his eyes, and he begins to say how I changed his life. And as he's talking to me, he's now flushing the weed down the toilet. He's like, I just wanted you to know that if nobody heard you today, I heard you, and I want to live a different life, and I want to live a different lifestyle. And he began to tell me how his father, his uncles, 2 of his cousins, and his brothers are either dead or in prison. And he's like, but now after hearing your story, after hearing all of the pain that you've gone through, I know that I too can bounce back. So now he's stuffing it. He's trying to flush it. The toilet's getting stopped up. Weed's on the floor. I'm helping him pick weed up. I'm thinking like, if the principal walks in right now, this is definitely making the evening news, right? We get the weed up and we flush it down the toilet, and we really just had a moment together. Why am I sharing it with you? He was like, I'm showing you from here forward, because of your story, I know what's possible. I want something different. I want something new. I'm used to hearing people just say stuff. They bring in speakers all the time, but you share something real. I share this with you because there's a world and there's a generation that needs what you have to share and offer. I was just at a middle school a few weeks ago in the Carolinas. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. One little girl just giving birth to a baby. 2 students had just had abortions. 2 students the previous year were murdered, and one of their 7th grade students is in the middle of facing a murder charge. Middle school student. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. The power that you have within, all your challenges, all your trials, everything that you've gone through and you've experienced in life, when you share that, it sparks something inside the hearts and minds of people. It makes them want to change. It helps them to believe that a brighter day is coming. So I want to challenge you to this here. Ask yourself, moving forward in the future, what can I do differently? I want to share with you 3 things that I believe that you can do differently day to day to turn your pain into power. For one, be more honest and vulnerable. Be more open. When you're talking to someone and they're talking about challenges in their marriage, don't just say, yeah, girl, I get it. I'm so sorry that's happening to you. Roderick is amazing. You know Roderick ain't amazing. Roderick ain't been home in 2 days. Like really, like when you're talking to someone and they're I'm gonna have to file for bankruptcy, don't just say, hey man, it's gonna get better. Let them know that you went through that. That's where our power is, because it sparks something. It gives them hope. It gives them hope for a brighter day. It gives them hope for a brighter future. It gives them hope for a brighter tomorrow. But we're willing to take our pain and we turn it into power. The second thing you can do is when you go on Instagram. Sometimes I'm supposed to just cut your phone on and say, hey, what's up, y'all? I'm living my best life. Just open the phone up and be a little vulnerable. Hey, y'all, just still learning this marriage thing. Said something the other day to my wife. She didn't really like, now I got to go and apologize to her. But I'm committed to being a better husband. Do you know what that's going to do to people? One of my good friends opened up the year and he was like, you know what? I want to be the best I can be. I'm going to find me a wife. And the way I got to find me a wife is I got to give me some counseling because I need some healing to take place inside my heart. He's got like 600,000 followers when he put that post up. I'm thinking like, that's what it's about. We share our brokenness. We share our pain. We share our tests. We share our trials, those things that we're fighting through. That's what's going to take us to the next level. I don't want to live in a world where everything seems so perfect and pretty. The world is yearning for something real. The third thing you can do to turn your pain into power is speak more. You might not be like a professional speaker or not have a desire to become a professional speaker. The average American is afraid of being in front of people and talking in front of public. I get it. But when you volunteer and you speak at schools and you speak different places, you're able to spark something inside the minds of those kids. When you share, hey, I know how it is to eat cereal with water, or I know how it is to have rats, or I know how it feels to struggle, or I know how it feels to wonder if my dad's going to come home. But now I'm an attorney, or now I'm an engineer, or now I'm a teacher, and now I own my own company. Like, that does something because now these kids, this new generation is thinking like, hey, my condition is not my conclusion. They're thinking like, there's got to be more. What am I challenging you to do? To put more hope in the world. Put more love out here in the world. Be more willing to be vulnerable and open. It takes a really strong person to admit that they're wrong. It takes a really strong person to be humble enough to say, hey, I made some challenges, and hey, I made some mistakes, and hey, I'm still figuring things out, and hey, I don't have it all together. It really says a lot about us as humans when we say, you know what, I'm going to be more open, more honest, more vulnerable, more transparent to help this next generation. One will say that the way that you can fight back is you can say, hey, this happened to me. Okay, but you know what? Let me rephrase it differently. It happened for me. Now I can find purpose in my pain. So yes, I had to experience this hardship, even though I didn't cause it, or maybe I did cause it because of some mistakes I made. But what can I learn from it? How can I shift my perspective? And now that my perspective is shifted and I've learned from it, now I can help other people by sharing my story and sharing my journey. When I go to schools and speak, I'm heavy on speaking life over students. Whether I'm at a university, whether I'm at a high school or middle school, I'm big on speaking life to give them something here and here. I end every one of my presentations with a mantra that goes like this. You were born to be a leader. You were born to win. So live in your purpose until the end. If they question your greatness and don't believe, then you prove them wrong. And soon they'll see. You were great. You were smart. You won't quit and don't bend. Show hope and love until the very end. Lead with honesty, respect, hope, and love. I need you to lead this world to rise above. Now, don't give up. With life you'll wrestle, for you are a hardworking and resilient vessel. You were cool, you were smart, you were kind, you were special. Remain grateful, but never settle. When the kids hear that, they erupt, they applaud, they're excited. I'm intentional about speaking life over them because I know the power of words. I know the power of my pain. And today, you now know that if you really want to change the world, if you really want to join me and make this world a better place, we can look at all the pain we've experienced over the years. We can find purpose in it. And when we're more open, when we're more vulnerable, we're able to now share that with the world. And that's where we get our power from. Your pain today can be someone else's power tomorrow. That's my time. Thank you.